Are you looking for a friend? Do you have a friend? Do you have a hard time making friends? Why? Maybe because you have a bad repute, or maybe because you lack the skills or the understanding of how to access that opportunity to now begin to make the needed associations towards friendship. Or maybe you already have friends, but you're not sure whether they are true or not. Or maybe it could be that now you have a serious issue or something very sensitive happening in your life and you have a bunch of friends, or maybe you have one friend and you're uncertain based on how sensitive this issue is whether you want to discuss this with this person. Now, if these are your issues and you are wondering whether I can trust this person enough to confide in and relay this information, then you need to stick around. I'll be responding to these questions, obviously. As you know, in this channel, everything is divinely inspired. These words have been inspired by the Most High God himself through his word. So I'm going to be using that to guide you. So if you want the answers to these questions, stick around. This is a righteous advice. So see you soon. Welcome to Yeshua's Knowledge Garden. Now, so the first question is, how do you change your bad rep? Or maybe, how do you, in a new environment, create a situation where it is easy for you to access people socially? Okay? And so the answer to that question is sweet language. How you speak, how you talk, how you relate with people via speech, your utterances. What kinds of words are you saying? Are they uplifting? Are they depressing? So if they are uplifting, then you have a good chance of making good friends. Now, if they are depressing or you are always so negative with people, then that would keep people far away from you, especially at the onset. Okay, you have to know how to first of all access the social gathering. And how do you do that? You want to increase fair speaking, kind words, with a smile, with thoughtfulness, with true concern. Let it be evident and let it be sincere that you really are checking out for the well-being of these people. And of course, if it's a situation where one is down, you want to be always present when the situation isn't always good. You want to be there and uplift and motivate. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that when you speak sweetly, you will definitely multiply friends, and there is your access, right? When you speak kindly, thoughtfully, fairly, right, then you would increase kind greetings. Why? Because you have initiated the process. People are beginning to know you for this, and they can't just wait to meet that smile. Now, once you do that, they will over time, even if they're a bit shy at the onset, or maybe that might not necessarily be their nature, you would find that your actions would actually cause them to change. So, you have a bad rep. How do you change this? How do you solve this issue of bad rep? Now, offenses vary, I wouldn't lie. So hopefully you haven't created something abominable that is an offense. Hopefully you haven't done something grossly detestable. Hopefully that isn't the case. But let's say you have something minor that you have offended, and that's why it is very important for you to get into the scriptures early, because if you don't do that, you find yourself making mistakes that are very hard to come back from. So, because the Bible tells you, you'd never want to sin against the multitude. You don't want to create an offense in the midst of a large number of people, or so reoccurring that your reputation begins to speak for you before you even arrive the room, or you will even arrive the location. So, if you haven't done that, let's say it's a mild offense. What you want to begin to do, right, is to make sure you start creating situations of peace. Make sure if you've offended, go apologize sincerely, humbly, with words of meekness. Do not be prideful. That is very key. Then you begin to fix the errors you've made that you shouldn't have made in the first place if you were in the word of the Most High, the wisdom of God. So let's keep that to the side. So that's how you begin to fix things. So go to people, apologize, say you're sorry, and now start and begin the new trait, that is sweet language, fair speaking, humility, thoughtfulness, and then you will be good to go. All right, so now let's move that to the side. Now the next question I want to respond to, which was asked in the beginning, is, now you have a bunch of friends, or maybe you have one friend. So whatever the case is, you have people that move in cliques. You have people that say, okay, I'm just going to bond to this one and this is going to be my friend. Now the question is, are you bonding to the right person? Are you bonding to the right people? How do those people affect your life? This is common knowledge where birds with the same feather flock together, and it's easy to tie you in, even though you might be different, but because you haven't had the wisdom enough to disassociate yourself from people that have a negative trait or a negative reputation which spills over to you, then unfortunately you will be roped in together as one. So now that we understand, now the question is, how do you prove that friend that you're with? Now we're not speaking about people looking at you from the outside in. Now you're looking at yourself from the inside amongst the people you're with, or the person you've decided to call friend. So what do you need to do? Now Bible tells you that you should prove all things, and also by the fruits you shall know them. Like a tree that creates fruits, you know it's an orange tree when it creates or it brings forth oranges. So also are words to people, utterances, what they say, how they say it, mannerisms, micro expressions, and also gestures and actions. You need to observe these things. Like the orange to the tree, so are the words and actions to this person. So look out for that. Do not be too hasty. The Bible says prove all things, and for you to really investigate a matter sincerely and thoroughly, you basically need to take time. Observe. Now that which is sensitive, keep safe while you observing. Do not let yourself lose. Do not let yourself give out things that are sensitive that could destroy you, because you haven't fully assessed this person which you have for some reason moving as if you were friends. Now, how do you ascertain this is a true friend? You prove him. If you have opportunities to test this individual or these individuals, you do so. You try them and create situations and see how they react. Say things and observe their reaction. At this phase of testing, you don't want to say anything necessarily sensitive as it pertains to your life. You might create fictional situations to be able to analyze their responses and how invested and emotionally thoughtful they are on the matter. Then you can now decide to say, okay, this is my friend. No, this is not my friend. And that will be the way you do things. So prove your friends before you credit them the honor of friendship or the title of friendship. You must understand that people are friends for whatever reason. Now, there might be different reasons. A man or a woman or a girl or a boy can be a friend because of his own interest, because of what he hopes to get, or what the association with you can profit him. It thus means that if trouble comes, eventually he would flee away. He will not stand with you in the time of trouble. So there are also friends that now, for whatever reason, you get into a dispute, right? And because you were not as wise enough during that time to really prove, and that's why I addressed proving your friend first, right? You were not wise enough to prove your friends. Then, for some reason, you guys fall out. Now, you've unfortunately probably discussed something intimate, sensitive, almost so sensitive that it could destroy you or destroy or hurt people that are close to you. And it could also be things that relates to your family or a sensitive aspect of your life. But because, unfortunately, because these friends want to get back at you for the fallout, they forget the past. because you have not assessed the nature of this person before you gave that information to see if he had a conscience or human enough, even despite offense, he would not want to destroy. Unfortunately, these people let out your secrets and they destroy you. So that's why the issue of friendship is very sensitive. So once a friend is turned into enmity, right, or once friendship is turned to enmity, and strife, right, this set of people discover your deepest secrets, your offenses, things that you have kept hidden and you told them in confidence. So there is also another friend that is a companion, right? He's always around. But really, what is he around for? Food. Know those friends that always go out with you, right? I'm sure you can, if you've observed that, someone was wise enough would see that, oh, this guy is just here because you have the money to go and do things that are enjoyable. It's not relegated only to food alone, but majorly some stick around mainly for food because they're being fed, and they're being nourished by things you indulge in, also by virtue of that association, which sadly many hastily term friendship, will remain with you just to be fed, just to partake in those things that are pleasant that you partake in, because probably you might be a rich fellow, probably you have parents who are rich, well-to-do, or maybe you are in a situation where benefits are connected to that situation. It could be work, it could be an appointment. People stick around with you because of that, and many politicians and stars fall into this category. They have many people around them, a minute portion who may be sincere, but the rest are all there for gain. So you have friends who stick around for food, to be nourished, or we can look at that as friends who stick around for gain. So be mindful, because this is why you really need to investigate and test. And in the test and discovery, you might play ignorant, but you know who is who. You don't always have to reveal all the time. You might keep your distance if it's detrimental, but I believe that you can also stick around people, but not so closely. You can just have them as people you can every now and then call, okay? Or maybe if you were tight with someone before, you can begin to disassociate slowly without necessarily divulging what you've discovered or what you understand within. So that way there is still access, but from a distance. So be mindful. So this kind of people don't stick around in the day of calamity, in the time of trouble, in the day where you need help. They would leave you and abandon you. So they stick around only when things are good. So in prosperity, they will be there, and they would act like you, bold, right? And if you have servants or people that are working for you because of that status of association of friend, they speak to your servants or your maids or people that work for you or your workers the same way you will talk to them, and sometimes even more disrespectful than you would do. And you don't see that, because right there is actually a sign that this person is not a good person, because it means that the way he speaks to those people that are of a lesser degree, if you were of a lesser degree, he would also speak to you the same. So unfortunately, we don't see this. We're carried away and we laugh it out, and we forget that these are things to watch out for, as you would say, red flags. Let's move on. So if you were brought low, as I said earlier, that friend that has stuck with you, right, that has operated in the same caliber by virtue of your title, and hence your association, has treated people that are below you or your servants in a disrespectful tone. Now, like I said, if one day you fall to that level of degradation, as he treated those servants, he too will be against you, treating you poorly in the same way, and will betray you, and also will hide himself from you, because he only wants to be tied with elevation. So he was never a true friend, because a true friend sticks with you in all situations. So you must, once you identify that someone is operating in the spirit of an enemy, I know this word says keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? I know this word says that, but the understanding in that statement is that you want to put your enemies on watch. You know them. Sometimes you might be in a situation where you cannot leave that vicinity where your enemies are situated, but know who they are. That's how you keep them on watch. Your friends are already close, it's okay, but your enemy is closer. You want to observe them, that's the meaning. But I would just be direct. The safest approach, if you notice an enemy, separate yourself from them. And be mindful of your friends. Always watch them. Don't just give the title and forget, because people evolve. People change. So, you must know that a good and faithful friend is someone who will stand with you. He is a great defense, or she is a great defense, depending on the case. I typically say he or she, he most of the time, okay? But when I say he or man, I'm referring to humanity as a whole, male or female. So most of the time, but sometimes I might be referring to the masculine gender. If you have a faithful friend, as I was saying, right, understand that is a strong defense. That is someone who will stand with you. What money cannot buy, he will go out of his way, or she will go out of her way to basically fend for you, or find a solution. When you are alone, they will be there. Even though you tell them to leave, they would say no, sincerely, not hypocritically, and stick around and be there and suffer the plight with you, or at least try to bring you up from that situation, right? And if you have found such a friend, trust me, there is no treasure greater than a friend. Never trade such a friend. There is no treasure. That is the greatest treasure you have found. Because there is a friend that is closer than a brother. We talk about blood, yes, family. That's good, strong, right? But most of the time we don't really take the time to prove family, because they're family, right? But sometimes when family is obviously wicked, we can see that directly. I mean, if you want to be really observant and not ignore certain signs, but their friends will perform in all aspects, who are more loyal than family. If you found that, you found a treasure. Never betray such a person. Nothing should be traded for a friend. A good friend, a loyal friend, a faithful friend. Okay, faithful stands true all thick and thin. His excellency is invaluable. You cannot trade him, because in the time of nothing, what money cannot buy, he will go out of his way to buy, to get you. So also you must be to him also, or her. It is not one-sided. You cannot be selfishly wicked in that way to not repay the favor, or be ready to be such a friend, or even be such a friend with everyone that you have proven to be a faithful friend. You must understand that a faithful friend is like a medicine of life. Imagine you have a medication you take and you feel well. It uplifts the spirit, because a friend will be there at your lowest, where you need someone to feel better, where to feel some sense of hope. That friend sticks with you, stays with you. That is the friend you want to be around you. So a faithful friend is the medicine of life. His presence, or her presence, revitalizes your bones in the midst of sorrow, pain, anger, regret. When you are down, even when you've made grave mistakes and people condemn you, of which mistakes can be condemnable, right? There's some mistakes that are truly condemnable, but for some reason, this friend, knowing that you have repented, knowing that this is the judgment you're currently facing that has been discovered, because we know nothing hidden that won't be uncovered, except the Most High decides to give you exceptional mercy, except so. But in such a situation where you fall to that low state, that friend still sticks around despite the shame. That is a blessing. You dare not trade him or her for anything. So, lastly, understanding that the Most High is the one that blesses. He's the one that rewards a righteous man or woman. So you must fear the Most High in this regard. You must be a dedicated, fervent reader of the word and adherence and the keeping of the law. So, because if you truly fear God, right, the Most High will direct you. He will guide you to not only pick a friend, and if you're truly a righteous person, right, that fears the Most High, if you have a friend that is a good person, maybe not so rooted in the things of God, you will direct him to the path of righteousness. You will direct your situation, you will direct your friendship aright. That means you will not sway your friend or encourage your friend to do something negative or bad or wicked. Because, like it is said, birds of the same feather flock together. So, a man who is righteous and has a friend would sway and would mold and would teach and would educate and would steer his friendship or his friend to adopt the parts of righteousness and the nature of righteousness as he himself or herself has adopted and continues to adopt. So both of them will be rooted in righteousness, because two cannot walk together lest they be agreed. And typically, when one is righteously adhere to the scriptures and to the Most High God, it's not enough to say you're a good person or to operate as a good person, because at some point the Most High, Christ, and the word of righteousness is a dividing sword. You cannot be lukewarm. You either are hot or cold. So will a righteous person treat his friendship. So you cannot move on the fence. If not, over time, he knows, or that righteous person knows, that he too would sway to the fence. So it is imperative for him, necessary at the early phases, to let his friend know his standard. After proving this friend, of course, and then sway that friend to the standards of God and righteousness. And that is the end of today's discussion, and I hope I was able to respond to those questions effectively. And as I said, I take no glory. All these words are scriptural, and hopefully I'll be able to remember to put the text just below for you to see the references. So I am just a humble servant. Okay, so see you in the next one. Adios.